Hey students, Mrs. Zimmerman. Our next lesson is going to be dividing decimals. So we've done everything, add, subtract, multiply. Now we're dividing decimals. So here we go. Our very first example is 7 6/10 divided by 4. And I already wrote it out for us to make it easier to divide. Okay, and the very first thing you want to do when you're dividing decimals is deal with the decimal, because it's a really simple step. All you have to do is this number here, that's your dividend, the 7.6. See how your decimal is right here? All you do is you just go straight up and you add your decimal. So it's very important that you're working in nice, neat columns, rows, that your handwriting is nice so you can remember and see what you're doing. And then we just divide. Okay? So how many times does 4 go into 7? Once, right? So I put the 1 right here. 1 times 4 is 4. And then I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3. I do not have to worry about that decimal because I already put it up top. So I just bring down the 6 like normal. And I ask myself, how many times does 4 go into 36? 9 times. So the 9 goes right above the 6, right? Because that's the number we brought down. So 9 times 4 is 36. And we're going to subtract 0. My phone's ringing. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Okay, so I did that last step kind of quick, so I'm going to go through it one more time. 9 times 4 is 36, and then I just subtracted 36 minus 36 is 0. And when we get to a 0, so when we do decimals, we keep dividing until we get to a 0. Sometimes there might be a few other situations that we'll talk about in a different video, not this one, okay? But we're always going to get to 0. That's when you know you're done. We're not going to have any remainders, no fraction remainders, nothing like that. Always 0. So my answer is just simply 1 9/10. Our next problem is ready to go. I've got 59 6/400 divided by 7. I went ahead and rewritten it for us. And remember, the very first step I have to deal with the decimal. Okay, so my decimal is right here, and I just move it straight up. Just like that. And then we just divide like normal. But remember, we're dividing until we get to a 0. That's when we know we're done. So we have to ask ourselves, does 7 go into 5? No, it's too big. Does 7 go into 59? Yeah, how many times? 8, right? If you don't know, you can check your multiplication table. But I know it's going to be 8. 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 7 is 56. Subtract and I get 3. Then I'm going to bring down my 6. How many times does 7 go into 36? 5, right? 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 7 is 35. So then I subtract 6 minus 5 and I get 1. I have 4 to bring down. And how many times does 7 go into 14? 2. 2 times 7 is 14. I'm going to subtract and get 0. And that's everything. We go till we get a 0, so now we know we're done. 8 52/100. We're going to try one more. Our last example is ready to go. Right here, we have 4 374 thousandths divided by 12. I've rewritten it, and remember, first step, move the decimal point up. So I've got it right here. We're just going to go straight up to there, and then we divide. Remember, we're dividing until we get to 0. Then we know we're done. So, can 12 go into 4? No, it cannot. Can 12 go into 43? Yeah, it can, right? 3 times. So 3 times 12 is 36. I'm going to subtract. I'm going to have to do some borrowing. And 13 minus 6 is 7. Bring down my 7. And how many times does 12 go into 77 without going over? I know 6, let's see. 12 times 5 is 60. So maybe let's try 12 times 7, maybe? 7 times 2 is 14, so 4. Carry the 1. 84, that's going to be too big, right? So let's do 6. 72. That will work, okay? Now we can subtract. 7 minus 2 is 5. And I bring down my 4. Okay, then how many times does 12 go into 54? 4 times is 48, so let's do 4. 4 times 12 is 48. We're going to have to do some borrowing. And I get 6. But we don't stop until we get a 0. But I don't have any more numbers to bring down. So if you find yourself in this situation where it's not 0, you don't have any more numbers to bring down, you can just add a 0. That's it. Just put a 0 right there and then bring it down. And then we bring down our 0, and now we have 60. So then we ask ourselves, how many times does 12 go in? 12 right here go into 60? 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60. 60 minus 60 is 0. So I'm done, right? I have to get to a 0. I did. That's my answer. Okay? Now, what I would do is I would rewrite this over here. And because we don't have anything in the 1 spot, just so that way anyone that's looking at your work, you know, me grading it, okay, knows that that's supposed to be a decimal point, not just a scratch on your paper, I would put a 0 here. So then we have 0, and then the decimal, like that, and then we write the rest of it, 3, 6, 4, 5. And then we circle it. Okay? So the biggest thing to remember is when you have a decimal, bring it straight up, and you have to divide it all the way out every single time until you get to 0. And that's all I got for you, okay? I think you can do it.